Hey guys, Joseph Lowe here, owner of Pure PT Supply. Today we're going to do a deep dive into physical therapy products, the market itself, and some things I noticed and things I'm trying to change. So I don't think it would surprise a lot of you if I told you that the current setup for the physical therapy product market, supply, distribution, all that kind of stuff, is not set up for clinics. It's set up for the distributors themselves and for the product companies as a whole. Now, 10, 15, 20 years ago, when there were not nearly as many cash pay, I guess, clinics and insurance reimbursement rates were significantly higher, clinic owners didn't really think twice, or they didn't think as much about their expenses when it comes to supplies. Their margins were a lot higher. They didn't have to, squeeze out every penny. Now, more than ever, margins, clinic owners operate on single digit margins a lot of the time. I speak with clinic owners all the time that, have to add cash pay services, whether it's stretching, whether it's different, massage options or recovery, whatever the case is. And, they're all looking to save money, you know, every in every spot that they can, on top of generating additional revenue streams, maybe selling products or whatever the case is. And when I started this business about a year and a half ago, and I looked at the entire PT product industry, I realized that the small clinics pretty much had the same setup as nationwide large groups that have 500, 1,000, 2,000 locations. And I also found out that some of those companies that have 1,000 plus locations didn't actually have much better pricing than the individual clinic owners who were buying stuff from Amazon, or maybe they had an account at a distributor like Meyer or North Coast or SME or some of these other guys. And that was very surprising to me, as in I just didn't understand why a group that had 1,000 locations didn't have what I call brand deals in place, didn't resell products to patients, and was actually paying a significant premium on product pricing compared to what I would have thought. And this is more or less the reason why. So most products that get used in PT clinics, it's kind of like a two-tier distribution model. But if you are a resistance band manufacturer, or you're a brand, you can sell on Amazon, you can sell on your website, but you want to get into physical therapy clinics nationwide because you get more products sold. Obviously, you get your name out there, brand awareness, all that kind of stuff. So you sell to a distributor at a set price. The distributor has to make money. They then obviously have to mark it up. Nothing wrong with that. And then they sell to you, the clinic owner, at the final price. Nothing wrong with that. That's how almost every product company, in Walmart works. If you want to get distribution and sell nationally in Walmart, you lower your price a lot, you sell to them, they then resell, and the consumer pays the highest price. The problem is physical therapy clinics, in my eyes, are not product consumers. They can be resellers. They can be kind of affiliates. They can be brand ambassadors. And you see this, I'm not going to name specific companies, but you see this a lot with PT product companies that have been around a long time, and they're in distributors nationwide. They're in physical therapy clinics nationwide, and the clinic might get a 15 to 20% discount, but the consumer, if they go on Amazon during Black Friday, or they go on their website, or give them their email, they might be able to get that same offer at any given point. So the clinics aren't really saving any money. And then on top of that, millions of people a year go to physical therapy, and they use these kind of marquee products from these marquee brands. And what do? They go on Amazon, they go on that website to go buy those products. The clinic never made any money in that interaction. They paid what I believe a higher price than needed for those resistance bands or stretching straps or whatever the case is. And then they kind of influenced a sale. That customer, that patient buys it online, and the clinic makes no money. So it's kind of like a double whammy. They got paid nothing for sending a patient to go buy that product, and they're paying more than they should to use those products with patients. So I thought I can do better. And not only do I want clinic owners to pay less for supplies, but I want them to pay less for supplies because they're using these products with patients every day. Like in any other business, any other niche, if I'm selling, I don't know, it could be, I don't know, fitness products, or it could be skincare or whatever the case is. It is just general, I guess general business knowledge that if someone's gonna use your product and they're going to sell it to other people, they get a percentage. It's a standard affiliate deal. If you go on TikTok or any other platform, there's constant creators that they get paid up front, or they get a 10, 15, 20, even 30 or 40% of net revenue for every sale they generate. That's just commonplace. If you generate a sale, you get paid for it. In the PT industry, that's not the case. So what I wanted to do was, starting with basic products like stretching straps, or these mini loop bands that we developed a couple of years ago, is I wanted physical therapy clinics to get the best possible pricing, meaning they actually got pricing that is never offered to the general public. So it's not just a 15, 20% discount. They're getting legit wholesale pricing, as in if something sells for 20, they get the product for maximum $10 or less. And that's a standard setup that you would see if I were to go sell something to Walmart and the MSRP was $20. There's no way that Walmart would buy it for more than $10. Matter of fact, they would probably want it for 6 or 7, knowing that Walmart is pretty ruthless when it comes to pricing. So because I want PT clinics nationwide to be using my stuff, there's a massive value add to me. Whether they want to sell the products in person or not, that's fine. But I still want them to get wholesale pricing, because they're introducing my products to patients, and that's awesome. So they're going to get wholesale pricing, but I want to do everything I can to offer and add value if they do want to sell it. So I actively try to get clinic owners to sell products in person. And one of the kind of promises or guarantees I make to them, which I've never seen another PT product company do, is a lot of times, and I've heard this from clinic owners, by the way, is a certain product company tells them, hey, sell our products in person or whatnot, and they'll buy extra stock, extra inventory. The margins are not that great. They might be able to charge 20, 30% more. So if you spend 100, they might be able to sell it for $130, which again, nobody in their right mind would want to do that. Making 20 or 30% on resale is just not worth it. But on top of that, that same brand will then go on Amazon for Prime Day or for Black Friday and slash their pricing 25, 30, 35%. So now, not only is the clinic owner selling that same product for more than the patient can find it for on Amazon, which again, might make the patient a little upset if they feel like, why are you trying to take advantage of me when I can get this product for cheaper? But they kind of got screwed in the sense that they had this extra inventory that they can't even sell. And this has happened, countless times to clinic owners. I think they kind of have a bad taste in their mouth because of experiences like that. So they don't want to resell products unless the margins actually make sense, like they would for any other business. Walmart's not going to resell products and make 10%. They need to cover their costs, employee time and whatnot. They need to make 100% or more. So PT clinic owners are no different. They want to be treated like that. Now, on the flip side, there's clinic owners who don't want to sell products in person. Nothing wrong with that. They just think it's not worth it. They don't want to have extra stock. They might not want to file for sales tax. Maybe they feel like they're just better off not kind of selling products in person. They don't want to feel like they're hawking a bunch of stuff and taking advantage of their patients. Even though we know it's not taking advantage of your patients when patients go home with products purchased from their or recommended by their physical therapist, there's a better chance they will finish their plan of care, that they will actually go home and start exercises. Because if you send them home with nothing and no recommendations and leave it up to them to buy an exercise ball or whatnot, they might forget, or it's going to feel like an extra expense. And then 4 or 5 days go by, and like most humans, 4 or 5 days go by, they're already on to something new. So PTs have to do everything, in their power to not only obviously treat the patients, but make sure that they're doing their exercises at home, and sending them home with the products right away is one of the best ways to do that. That being said, there's an online component. A lot of clinic owners, they tell me, hey, I just want to send people to Amazon. Okay, that's great. I have products on Amazon. If you want to send them and say, hey, this is the product I use with you today, if you like it, go ahead and go on Amazon. I still want them to be paid for that. I want clinic owners to get amazing pricing on products, but I want them to get paid for every interaction that they have with a patient that involves my products. So if they send them to Amazon, there's a sheet that I can give them that has a QR code that sends the patient right there. they can get paid for that. That's tracked. If they want to send them to my website, again, same thing, QR code or a link, that's tracked as well. If they want to, if they feel bad about making money selling products or recommending products, again, they're not, the percentage comes out of what I make as a business owner. It's not as if, oh, the patient scans this code and this strap or this band, which is always $20. By the way, that price doesn't change. It's not as if it takes them to a listing where they got to pay 25 or 30, and then I just take that money from the patient and give it to the clinic owner. The price is the same, regardless, and it comes out of what I make as a business owner. So, because again, selling these types of products, I'm going to have to run Facebook ads, Google ads, pay marketing people and whatnot. Like those are all expenses that you kind of have baked into to running a business. So why not share that money with a clinic owner who sends a customer? So if they tell me, I don't want a specific QR code to where I make money, I don't feel right about that. I just want my patients to get good products. I'll say, okay, that's fine. You can still send them to my listing. I won't pay you any money, but I want to send them free stuff because I don't feel right about having a clinic owner who I already know is operating on low margins, sending me customers that I'm making money on, and then they get nothing. So I'll send them free products if they want. Maybe I'll send them a gift card. I don't know. But if they tell me they don't want actual dollars, then I'll find a way to make it up to them. But I just want every clinic owner to get in this habit of understanding that they have value outside of just treating patients. And there are product companies that have done 9 figures in sales, consumer sales. That's, for those of you watching, 9 figures is over $100 million. In a large part because those products are in physical therapy clinics nationwide. There's nothing wrong with that, but no company has really recognized the value that physical therapy clinics or PTs have when it comes to product sales and whatnot. And the other thing is, if you're a large clinic group, so that's mostly for people that have one clinic or 2 or 3. But if you're a large clinic group and you have 50, 500, 1,000 locations, if you are not negotiating brand deals or implementing some of these, I guess, strategies into the daily flow at all your locations, you're missing out on a ton of money. Imagine, like, if I was a PT clinic owner that ran 1,000 locations, and whether we're publicly traded or not, we're trying to find ways to make more money. And I've talked with some of these executives. Some of them see over 1 million patients a year, 1 million people. And they tell me not only are they paying more for products than they need to because they're focused on, I guess I'll call it operational efficiency. They just want to work with one distributor. Everyone has an account. They just buy stuff. And because they're still looking at the only way to generate revenue is through treating patients via insurance reimbursements or some cash pay options. And most groups that have 1,000 locations or more do 0 cash pay. So it's all insurance based. But from a product perspective, you have 1 million eyeballs and you're telling me that you're not going to go negotiate with any of the product companies that you're using. Like, I do not understand that one bit. As in, if you're seeing 1 million patients in any other business, if I was, I don't even know, like another good example, but seeing 1 million potential customers and I was using and recommending and selling somebody else's product and got $0 for that, that's borderline extortion. Like, I just do not understand why large clinic groups do not go to some of these big brands that they use and say, hey, look, we're willing to use this resistance band in all 1,000 locations. We either want it could be like a kickback or a percentage back from all the units that we buy, as in we want to lower our supply costs, or you can do both and say, we want a brand deal. We want 50, we want $100,000 given all the traffic that we're going to send to your website or your Amazon listing, or better yet, we want QR codes that we can scan that our PTs have in their back pocket or they're around the clinic that patients can scan. And again, we have to be careful. We never want to cross the line where PTs or PT clinics are making money at the expense of their patients. That's the key thing. If it's a product that you use in your clinic that the patient is asking for and you recommend, and the money is coming not from the patient, but from the product company itself, as in it's not additional money that they're charging the patient, by all means, that's great. And it also helps, we know that it helps the patient. When I go to see a specialist, I love to golf. If I went to, a swing coach and we're working and he decided that there was products, whether it's shoes, gloves, different golf balls, clubs that he recommended and knew that would make me a better player, but he felt bad that he was going to get a percentage and didn't recommend them to me, I would be frustrated. As in, I'm paying this expert money. I want them to tell me, what do I need? What should I buy? How do I get better faster? As a patient, I've been through physical therapy many times. My mom's a physical therapist. When I go, I'm paying for expertise. I want to know everything they have to share. Now, if they say, hey, buy this $500 special unique thing that I don't actually need, and they're just trying to make money, well, then of course that's unethical, and we don't want to go down that road. But we're talking stretchy straps, resistance bands, like basic stuff, more or less commodities. So yeah, it's a value add to the patient. It's a value add to the business. The main companies that are making loads of money are the product companies, and they're not sharing any of that with small clinics or even large clinics. Like if you look at any professional sports team or any large company that has a nationwide presence, almost all of them have brand deals to some extent. Now, obviously, sports franchises are on TV, so that's a unique example. But like every water bottle or drink that the professional players use is branded, and those companies have a deal with that brand. And whether it's Gatorade, Powerade, Prime Hydration, whatever the case is, anytime there's a logo or placement, those companies are paying to be there. But of course, in the physical therapy industry, not only are those product companies not paying to be there, they're actually, it's reversed. They're getting paid to be there. You're buying their products at a significantly higher price than you need to, telling patients to buy it and getting absolutely nothing for it. So, in a nutshell, that's what I'm trying to solve at Pure PT Supply, and which is why I started it. I don't have, 50, 100 plus products. I'm never going to try and be a distributor. That's not what I'm going for. However, the products that I do have, and I'm actively trying to get more, I want to make sure that every clinic owner gets an opportunity to either save money on supply costs or on top of that, generate additional revenue every time they send a customer. Whether they sell them in person, they can keep all that revenue, 100+% markup, just like any other reseller would get. Or if they want to send them to Amazon, great, they get paid for that too. Website, same thing. Every interaction is tracked, and I want to make sure that they are compensated accordingly. Thanks again for listening. Have a good day, guys.